and big crowd this morning, just kidding. So thank you all for coming. I don't know about you, but for me, this is the first time I've been in person in like 18 months. I don't know about you, but you won't kind of be able to mute your screen. I had to put pants on. You know, that whole thing's happening for all of us right now. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm really glad to be here. There's just, a little bit I just want to talk to you, honestly, about our move to Amazon Web Services. So I'm just going to share a bit about where we were and kind of where we're at right now, because I'll share with you, we are in transition. Our path forward, those things that we had to consider and the decisions we made along the way, our solution, and where we are as I stand here today talking to you. So I'll first tell you a little bit about Valencia. Valencia was founded in 1967, and we're located in Orlando, Florida. We serve more than 76,000 students per year across 8 campuses with a total of about a dozen locations. We were named the best community college in the nation as the inaugural winner of the Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence. And we ranked 5th in the nation in the number of associate's degrees we award to Hispanic students. And nearly 1 in 4 University of Central Florida graduates starts at Valencia. So if I talk to you a little bit about where we are, Eleuthean's banner is Valencia's system of record. It houses all of our student records, including admissions, registration, financial aid, grades, and graduation. It also holds our budget, finance, grants, human resource, and payroll information. It integrates with an entire suite of systems. Banner also is currently on the AIX platform, right? So that is a bit different than most institutions. Being a part of the AIX platform on Banner really is something that probably only a handful of about 1,200 Banner schools actually do today. That in and of itself really does pose a difficult situation for us. Let me just see here, hold on. Whenever there's a release, we kind of come last, right? Because there's not a lot. Whenever there's troubleshooting issues, there's not a whole lot of people you can go to. And additionally, because we host AIX on-prem, we could not do a simple lift and shift to AWS. We actually had to rebuild all of our servers. If we look at the screen here, it says that we were moving 38 servers to the cloud. Actually, where we stand today is at about 92 servers that we have decided to move. So when I talk about moving to the cloud, besides some of those things that I talked about, AIX, and honestly talking about a move to the cloud to move away from that physical data center, I really had 4 drivers that I looked at. The first was information security. So Gartner will tell us that the cloud is 3 times less penetrable than a physical data center. And so to support this, we know that the ability for someone to traverse our network is removed when we're in the cloud. The move also enables us to leverage Amazon's commitment to security, and it reads, "We also implement responsible and sophisticated technical and physical controls designed to prevent unauthorized access to or disclosure of your content." It also goes on to say that they secure your data and it's encrypted at rest and in transit. I would say my second driver really is strategy and innovation. So moving our major administrative systems to the cloud really aligned with my IT strategic direction. It really not only removed the physical care and feeding of systems that would allow my team to really focus on doing those things that are able to allow them to focus on implementing cloud tools and bring up servers more quickly, fostering innovation for students so we can meet that demand. It also did things like increase our speed to launch initiatives. So we didn't have to wait on procuring hardware, getting that hardware delivered, and then have that hardware come in and us take the time to launch it. Instead, we can do that more rapidly, and as faculty are asking us for new things, we can bring them up quickly, and as we bring them up, it'll really foster the changing needs of the students, especially in this environment that we're in today. The next thing we have is cost efficiency. So really, we know that it does take money to be in the cloud, but when we think about it, I was in the position where I needed to reduce some asset costs, as I knew the cost for my servers, storage, and backup hardware. I was going to have to replace those things in the next 12 to 24 months. So doing this, I'm able to negate those costs. You all are probably really familiar with, as our hardware ages, the maintenance increases because it's much harder for you to get parts. My hardware was increasing at 26% each year. So in order to remove those costs, a move to the cloud made sense for us at this time. The final thing I would say is, when it comes to cost efficiency, what's really important to me is, in higher ed, like most businesses, you have peak times. For us, the peak period that we find is during registration, the first day of classes, and when grades post. And during those times, we have tens of thousands of students that are hitting our systems. Well, what we see on-prem is we have to build our data centers up for those peak times. And when you're in the cloud, you can build for a normal workload and scale up when you need, so you don't have hardware and processing power sitting there unused for the majority of the year. And I think the final thing that I have would be business continuity. That was the fourth driver that I looked at. So we know the major cloud providers have demonstrated levels of security and reliability, increasing application availability. So today at Valencia, we have 2 data centers located approximately 30 miles apart. With Amazon Web Services, my data is in Virginia, excuse me, with a backup in Oregon. So there's a level of protection that I could not do on my own at Valencia. We're known for our hurricanes. Hurricane season comes, and that is a serious concern for us. So now, if my data center gets whisked away, I won't have that worry anymore. And in our case, we were prepared for disaster recovery. We know in the IT field, disaster recovery and business continuity are the 2 different things, right? So maybe some of our end users out in the community, they don't recognize that. They think, oh yeah, we have business continuity. No, we know if there is a hurricane and our data centers get wiped out, we will have to procure new hardware, get our tapes from a third-party location, and rebuild the servers. This move also enables us to move from just disaster recovery to business continuity. I'd also say that at the rate that Central Florida is growing, we experience major fiber cuts way too often. Even with our own dark fiber ring, we have it happen much more than I have an appetite for. So in order, with the move to AWS, should we have a fiber cut? Should we have a hurricane? I can rest assured that we're going to be able to continue serving our students, providing them all the technology tools that they need, including Banner, our portal, and anything else that may facilitate and keep their learning on track. So if we think about our timeline here, so I did plan to do this in 2 to 3 years, so I didn't have to replace the hardware. And what happened was, we went on spring break and the pandemic hit, and No one returned. And so we had, like most institutions across the country, a large influx of funding as a result of the CARES Act and the pandemic. So suddenly, I now had thousands of employees that were accessing Banner remotely. So I was concerned about the VPN access into the college from all of these remote locations, and really the stability of that VPN was a concern as well. That moved this to being one of our top priorities. I will say that I'll say that we spent time from April through August really doing in-depth research, right? I talked with Gartner analysts, I talked with my colleagues across the state, I talked with multiple vendors, and we realized that it was the right move for us. So after doing all of that research, I can tell you that a really valuable lesson that I learned in talking with Gartner and confirming with other CIOs was that the partners that we choose to do this were going to be critical to us. We needed to ensure that we had the right people to work with us. And so we knew Banner, but we had no idea about AWS, right? My team had no skills in this. So we, after going back and forth quite a bit, we had determined that first and foremost, should we self-host or should we go with Ellucian, who provides Banner to us? So Ellucian has their own hosted solution, and we had the thought that we would partner with AWS and Strata Information Group, right? Those were the two options we had, and we weighed them. We went back and forth. You know, we'd lean one way, we'd do research, then we go back the other way and we go, what are we going to do? So in talking with Gartner, you know, knowing that it was critical to have really good partners, because we had to be successful out of the gate, right? We know the end users weren't going to see much of an impact, but if anything kind of fell by the wayside, it would kind of blow up in our faces. So we went ahead and we made the decision that we would self-host or in AWS. So when we decided to do that, there were two primary factors. One was cost. It was really truly less expensive for us to self-host than it would be for us to go with Ellucian. The second driver and real critical decision point was, even if I selected Ellucian to host this for me, I was still going to need a presence in AWS. I still needed to move all of those things, those servers that integrate with Banner, like our web servers, our job sub servers, our reporting servers. All of those things still needed to be in the cloud so we didn't have any latency. So because we needed to know AWS, we needed to have a presence there. It just made sense to us to take this path. I would say that in September, we presented the contracts to our board of trustees for our two partners that were SIG and AWS, and we were able to really form a solid relationship once those contracts were signed, meeting with them in November. And SIG, short for Strata Information Group, SIG and AWS ProServe, they've been amazing partners. I would say that, you know, we talked up front about our expectations of their work with us and their work with each other. And I can tell you that I've been in this business a really long time, and you probably know, if you've been in this business as well, you get into a project with multiple vendors, and the first time there's a concern, what happens? The vendors start pointing, yeah, you said that, you point your fingers at each other, don't you? Never happened once. They formed such a great partnership. I almost got chills thinking about it. I mean, it really was wonderful. They would spend time talking to each other without us. If there was a concern, they would meet together and say, here's what came up, and here's what we propose to you together. Not only is that just a wonderful thing, it's really quite refreshing. So I can't say enough about that partnership and what it meant to me, especially as a CIO. So then in November, we had that partnership, and then in December, we kicked off Project Titan. And we named it Titan because that stands for Technology in the Amazon Network. And I can tell you the teams have spent countless hours since then working. The team at AWS ProServe, and Vadim especially, has spent so much time with my team, just teaching them everything they needed to know, really spending the time with them to be able to say, okay, this is what you need to know in order to make the decisions that are going to sustain you in the long run, right? Because the team was very anxious, like, they're asking us things, and this is going to determine how we're going to work in the future. But the training that was offered, the partnerships have just been amazing, and that really has helped move us along. And so I will tell you, in May of 2021, the ProServe landing zone was completed, and I will tell you it was on time and on budget, right? Great news. That makes us all very, very happy. One of the things that I did do along the way was to form a steering committee. And that group would meet every 2 weeks. SIG would join in with us, AWS would be there with us, and my team would all be there. And what was pretty amazing with that is everyone would come together, we'd get reports from both of our partners on, okay, here's the project status, here's the budget status. We would talk very candidly about concerns, right? I'm a firm believer, you have a steering committee for a reason. Don't tell us everything is wonderful, and then if there's a problem, go off and talk about the problem, right? This is why we're here, to fix the hard stuff. And so those meetings have been extremely successful. Today, Vadim's been able to pull himself out of those because the landing zone is done, but Charlene Volkers, our AE, and bless her, she still comes to every meeting, so that is a blessing in it of itself, and it really talks about the partnership that we have. And I will tell you that with that, we are set to go live in fall of 2021, which is where we're at. And actually, those dates are October 27th through 31st. Today, all of our systems are built in AWS. Testing, right? User acceptance testing. If they had their way, I'd let them test for a year. That's really not really something that we can do, but all systems are green. We are ready to go. So we are really excited about that. I hope to be able to come back and tell you about what a success it was. And I'll just say that it hasn't been easy, right? We certainly had our ups and downs. Change is rarely easy, right? This project is no exception. This is really, we're using the buzzwords, digital transformation. I would throw this in that category. That is what we are doing right now. We're really transforming the way we work. I have moved people's cheese, right? I was an infrastructure kind of person. That's where I came up on that side of the house. Those people, we've rocked their worlds. They're learning entirely new things, but they're taking it. They're taking it with grace. They're excited about the opportunity and the things that they're learning. And I would just say, as we move through this journey, the thing I say to them and that I think about, when we look in the rearview mirror, when it's all over, not only will we say it's been one really wild ride, but I think they'll all feel like this is one of the greatest accomplishments of their professional careers. So with that, I will say thank you, and Vadim will answer any hard questions that you have. So any questions at all? And I can't see you, so. Look, it's an easy crowd. Oh, someone's coming up to the mic. Oh.
So this will be your first step with AWS. Where do you see yourselves going beyond your banner migration?
I'm sorry, did you hear that?
This is your first step in AWS. Where do you see yourself going beyond banner migration?
So I would say, yeah, so we have a couple of things out in Azure. I will say that. the bad word in the AWS room, but we have a Helios grant where we are doing some predictive analytics with the 2 local school districts, University of Central Florida and UCF. So we have that smattering there, and we had that first. We chose this path. I would say that we're always going to be hybrid. There's just going to be some things that don't make sense to put in the cloud, right? I don't know, we've got some labs on campus that aren't going to make sense. There's just some tools that we use that are only on-prem. So that wouldn't make sense to move them to the cloud. But honestly, what started as Banner became these 38 different services. So I think we'll probably see more go there. Do I have a plan right now? Probably not, but because everything that touches Banner, and we're so integrated with Banner, everything feeds real-time data. It only makes sense as we build them to move them up. We have things like something, if you're in higher ed, it's called Campus Logic, right? We're implementing that right now at the same time. So that will move to the cloud because it talks to Banner. So anything that talks to Banner for us is going to go to the cloud. And again, removing that physical threat is really important to me. Anything else at all? Remember the 80s movie, The Gremlins? I feel like bright light, bright light. All right. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate your coming today. And if you don't want to ask out loud and you just want to come up and talk to Vadim and I, we will hang out here for a few minutes to talk to you. Thank you. Oh, am I supposed to say? There.
Thank you so much, Patty. And for the other folks in the room, please give us some feedback on this session by going into your app. We will start with the next session at 9:20, and that is Discover eHealth's Database Migration Journey. Thanks so much.